Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler and spoiler review discussion of Desolation by Landy. Now this is the second in the upcoming trilogy of the Demon Road series that Landy started, and it's more of a young adult series when kind of like, I guess, compared to his Skullduggery Pleasant, which is more aimed at middle grade, I feel. So, oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this, but let me tell you quickly what it's about. But before that, even more so, please do not watch this if you haven't read the first book, and when I get to the spoiler section obviously I'll let you know, but please do not carry on if you haven't read this book. If you want to see what I thought about the first book, I've got that linked somewhere around the video or in the description, so feel free to check that out if you'd like. Like the first one, I got this as a read for review copy from NetGalley, so thank you very much NetGalley, but of course that doesn't kind of change the way I feel about it at all. I really enjoyed it, and as an honest opinion of mine. So here's what it's about. After some rather traumatic events that happened in the first book, Amber discovering she's a demon and all this messed up relationship with her parents trying to eat her and things like that, she is on the run. She's continuing following the Demon Road, trying to find some safety in Alaska, in a very small kind of cast off town called Desolation Hill. She heard that it was a safe place to be for people like her, so she's hoping it is definitely a safe place. But of course Desolation Hill is not what it seems, and things kind of blow up. This story was such a joy to read. I gave it a 4.5 stars on Goodreads and on NetGalley, and I will mention kind of briefly in this non-spoiler part why I gave it that, but I go into a little bit more detail with some of the nitpicking things that I mention later on in the spoilery section. So if you don't mind spoilers or you've read this book, feel free, to just check out what I mean later on. This book certainly had definitely more sexual undertones and more violence in this than the first book did. There was a lot of change in certain characters you thought you knew. A lot of differences was taking place. You were seeing a side to people you wasn't aware was there originally, but that just made it great. It had a great sense of character development, and everything just flowed so nicely regarding that. So not necessarily the violence, but the sexual tones did shock me. As mentioned before, I can't keep comparing it to Skullduggery Pleasant series because that's aimed at middle grade, this is aimed at YA. I've got to kind of expect there to be a different tone there in the writing and I guess the style. So I shouldn't have been shocked, but I was. But in saying that, I really did enjoy the violence and I guess the sexual tones. That sounds a bit odd, but I enjoyed what was delivered to me. This is definitely an action-packed story, but the good thing about this is that it was very plot driven, and it definitely kept that aspect, like a straight story, as you were seeing all this chaos like unfolding around the story. Like a lot of times when a series or a particular book is so filled with action, it can either feel like a filler to the next book, or it can just feel so cramped with too much going on that you lose sense of what's actually supposed to be happening in this book. That wasn't the case at all for Desolation. I felt like I knew exactly what was happening, what needed to happen, where the story was going, but still with the sense of enjoying, all this action going on, all this violence, all this like danger flying in and out of every direction. It kept the plot, but it kept the action, and I really loved the balance there. You do get introduced to a nice group of diverse, or I say nice depending how you look on it, a nice group of diverse different characters, and I really think they helped deliver the plot to where it was going in its end goal. I will talk a little bit more about certain individuals later on in the spoiler part, so again, if you want to watch that, feel free to. But just for now, I really liked the point of view of the older characters that were introduced, Virgil, more particularly Virgil, and Javier. I don't know how to pronounce that. I just liked that, how they kind of bounced off of each other and how they bounced off of other characters, and just the feel that they gave to the story of them being kind of older characters, more vulnerable but still willing to help when things were happening. So definitely enjoyed that aspect of it, and I liked the new collection of characters introduced. Milo's and Amber's relationship really did grow, and it's really strange because originally, obviously, Milo was just there to kind of escort her from point A to point B and get her there safely, and he was being paid. But over like the span of obviously the first book and this book now, there's actually become a friendship there, and I've really enjoyed seeing that. I feel like I got to deliver a lot of lines more efficiently, more emotionally, and I don't know, it's just helped to move things along. There was an odd scene, this isn't a spoiler, it's just a passing scene, where they were talking about flirting and kind of getting laid and stuff, and it was just, at the time I thought, this is so out of the blue, so unnecessary. What is going on? Why is this being mentioned? It's so random. But thinking back on it, I do feel like that was like a nice awakening to see that although despite obvious things, you know, craziness that's going on around them, they are regular people. And they do need a break from the everyday chaos that they're facing, you know. So that was just a nice little window opening, so you can see into that and you can see the normality for once, and I loved that. So basically, without going into spoilers, one of the main reasons I didn't give it a 5-star, I mean it was so close, but I didn't give it a 5-star because I wasn't always itching to pick up the book, and I know why this was. So I don't have a Kindle or an e-reader or anything. I only have my PC, and more recently I've downloaded the Kindle app onto my phone, so those are the only ways I can read it, and that's an uncomfortable experience for me. I can get through it, but I can't look at either the PC or the phone for such a long period of time. I suffer from migraines, and that can be, you know, provoking for those sometimes. But I know it sounds harsh me giving it like not a 5-star because of the way I was reading it. I mean, I know if I had a book it wouldn't have been the case, but it's altered my experience, you know, so I feel like it's valid in me saying that. But there are some other just little irritants that I will mention in the spoiler section that kind of builds up to why I didn't give it a 5-star as well. So hopefully that will make sense. Hopefully you don't think that me doing this is unreasonable. Really enjoyed this story. I definitely enjoyed this more than the first one, and that's saying a lot because I really did like that. It really didn't feel like a filler at any means at all. It obviously built up for the finale in book 3, but it felt like it had a purpose. It felt like it needed to be there. I got to the point where I was so close to finishing that I was just dragging it off. Has anybody ever done that before? Like, you're loving this book so much, you're almost at the end, you want to find out what happens, you want to get there, but at the same time you don't want it to finish, and you're just kind of dragging it out. So every like couple of pages I was watching a YouTube video and I'm like, oh, I really want to get back to it, but at the same time I don't want to finish it. That's what I was having in like the last couple of chapters of this story, and oh my god, I loved it from the beginning and I loved it all the way through. That's a rare occurrence. I'm also really happy that these books, I don't know if anyone else finds it, and I haven't looked at the date, so I don't know the time span, but they seem to be being released quite readily. It doesn't seem too quick, it doesn't seem too slow. I don't feel like I'm waiting forever, but the Demon Road was released not too long ago, and now we've got this second book, and I think in September we're getting the third book, so it's a nice span of time between the 3. I feel like I'm almost marathoning them, but kind of not, obviously, because there is still a gap there, but I don't feel like I'm waiting for like forever for, you know, to find out what's happening next, and I need my fix of this. I really do. I'm enjoying it so much. I don't know what I'm going to go to next after I finish the finale, but I really hope it's as amazing as this, and leaves me with a book hangover. I know, why am I wishing for a book hangover? I don't know, but I want to have those feelings, because I'm almost building to that. I was almost building to that in the last book, I'm almost building to it in this second book. I want that feeling in the last book, I really do. I hope it doesn't fail me. I've got a lot of high expectations now, and I try to diminish those, but it's been great so far. Please don't go wrong. So anyway, I'm going to go on to my spoilery thoughts now. So obviously this is the time where you can click out of the video, save it for another day when you decide to read the book or whatever, and then come back. These thoughts are going to be a little bit all over the place because for the majority of the time I was reading on my phone, and it was cool. I was having like these little notes and stuff that I was adding as I was like reading, so they're going to be a little bit over the place, and I might be going back and forth, so I hope you don't mind that format. Let's continue. Okay, so when Kelly, Ronnie and all the gangs sort of showed up into Desolation, I didn't know what kind of people they were at first. I didn't know if it was a road trip, I didn't know if it was a family trip, because Warwick in particular sounded like a child the way he spoke. I now realise that he's pretty much high all the time, and that's just how he speaks. But I couldn't kind of get a good feeling on who these characters were, their age range and that sort of thing, because we just kind of got thrown into like their dialogue and stuff. So I was a little confused for a little bit. And it was unsettling feeling like that, not knowing kind of where I stood with these characters. As well as that, I wasn't sure where their storyline was going. I was hoping it was going to be some like big thing for the storyline, but I wasn't sure if they were just passing through and you were just seeing a glimpse of normality maybe. Holy crap, they were far from normality. I'm so glad they stuck around for the rest of the story. I loved the input that they had. Like as soon as the Narrow Man was mentioned, I was like, oh no, who are these people? Why do they know so much? What is this town really like? And oh god, I was just getting so excited for all like everything to just erupt and happen and get thrown into the action. I was so excited. Like at that point I was thinking, if this town wasn't already weird, like with the attention it was drawing in, it was definitely about to get a whole lot weirder, and I really couldn't wait. Ronnie, just quickly I want to talk about what was with his catchphrase, like, appearances can be deceiving, like, and why was Kelly like prompting him? Why did they have a bit on that? Does he always say that? Was I missing something? I think that was just like a little inside joke between the characters, but I liked it because at one point when Ronnie was just about to like beat up one of the serial killers, like the last serial killer that was holding them hostage, he said that, and I actually burst out laughing and I don't know why. I just felt like those little bits where Kelly and that was trying to make him say it, I think it was building to that moment, and I was like, oh my god, you really do have a catchphrase, oh my god. And it was just so funny. When Kelly and that were in the scene in the club, I think it was when they first met, like the party monster and whatever the other guy's names, I wasn't expecting the kind of, I say in a broader sense of the term, a racist remark from what was going on. I feel like, I think his name was Ricky, was unnecessarily rude about that. He jabbed a little bit, I think, at Linda's boob size, and then he was also saying something about Ronnie being black, and I just feel that that little section was unnecessary, but it made it a little bit more satisfying when they beat up everyone in there pretty much. But yeah, I don't feel that that was needed, kind of, and it didn't offend me. I'm not really offended by that sort of thing. I just thought, hold on, does that really need to be written? Is there a need for any of that? And I think the boob comment about Linda was made after the black thing with Ronnie, so I feel like that was just to be like, well, this is bad too, and this is also bad, so you know, I'm not just focusing on the fact that Ronnie's black and this character said something to him, I'm focusing on the fact that he's also being like sexist or whatever to Linda. I don't really know where I'm going with it. Hopefully you kind of understand what I mean and don't take offence to what I'm trying to say, but I just kind of want to convey that annoyed me a little bit, and I don't think either of those insults were needed. It did show how much of a jerk Ricky is though. Oh my god, when Glenn came back, when like Amber and Milo were in prison, oh my god, I think they glanced him a little bit before that, I can't really remember, but I was so hoping that he was going to make like a comeback in this story. I didn't know in what kind of form, I didn't know friend or foe or what, and oh my god, it's so annoying just having him as like not a concrete character, just kind of drifting in and out of like the corners of Amber's mind. Like he wasn't really there, but she kind of glanced him every so often, and then he was kind of, looked like he was trying to hurt her in the cell, and then he came back, and then what was it, he pretty much took Kirsty, is that her name, Kirsty, for Amber's hands when she was getting pulverized by her. So I like that he kind of saved the day, but I'm still left uncertain as to whether he wants to harm Amber and Milo, or whether he's kind of now taken it upon himself to protect them from afar. I don't really know how that's going to go, and I'm hoping there's more of that in the third book. Yeah, so Hell Night was weird. That was extremely chaotic. What did you guys think about that? Like, it's pretty much The Purge on crack. Is that what that film's called? Yeah, that freaked me out, that film. That's how I can best describe what Hell Night is. Like, that was so intense, and the fact that the whole community was looking forward to this night, that they wanted to do harm and kind of get all that stress out. I could totally understand you wanting to kind of relieve stress and, you know, flip out once in a while, but that was to an extent. Like, they were killing people, they were physically changing into demons and enjoying it. And like one point Benjamin was like, he wanted to wait for his demon so that the demon could kill Amber and not Benjamin. That's ridiculous. Like, you're still killing her regardless of whether you're your demon self or your human self, you know, that's still a part of you. But the fact that they revelled in the change, that they were excited for this, that was just so wrong. And oh my god, Desolation, that world is messed up. Back to Kelly's like gang and all that, I really got excited when they and Amber kind of joined forces. Oh my god, that was so exciting. I was like, yes, you guys can take over the world. Oh, it was honestly just so much fun to read, and I found that the humour just bounced right off of each other, the retaliations to each other's jokes and just how they spoke, just, it was amazing. But I was so shocked when Amber's mum Betty found them pretty much straight after. I think when, was they staking out the Narrow Man's house? I think it was, or his hardware store, and then they all got separated because the police was coming in, and I think Kelly dragged Amber off into a different direction, and then they got sabotaged straight after. Like, they got attacked. I don't think sabotage is the right word, but that was just like, no, No, can't you just have a little break? For one tiny second, can you not have a break? Although Amber's parents were mentioned, I kept forgetting about them, and so it was such a shock when they appeared, just suddenly out of thin air. I was like, oh my god, they're back. So she's being chased by the hounds. Astroth pretty much wants her, like the shining demon. Her parents are still after her. Oh my god, she's after the narrow man. Like, she's trying to stop this weird ritual that this Desolation hill does every once a year. It was ridiculous, this poor girl. Oh my god, it's like from one extreme to the other. But yeah, I just found myself forgetting about the parents before this arrived, because when considered to the more dooming threat of the hounds, I just thought, there is a worse situation she could possibly be in. But then again, her parents did have a lot of resentment for her, so it was a difficult one to judge. This scene, Kelly and Amber making out. Whoa. Who was expecting that? Because I wasn't. That just happened all of a sudden. Like, Kelly was changing her dressing, and then she started saying all this stuff, and then they started spooching, and then, oh my god, all of a sudden, just as quickly as it happened, it stopped. And Kelly was freaking out at Amber's, like, transformation into a demon. And I can totally understand both sides. Like, Amber obviously was trying, like, she did it on purpose, but she was, I guess that's how she felt more comfortable, and I don't know, she felt more confident that way. And Kelly freaked out, a bit overreacting, but she freaked out because she's like, this is not how I like you. I'm trying to get you to understand that you're beautiful, regardless of whether you're in your demon form or not. So it must have freaked her out all of a sudden, this demon like snogging her. But I don't know, that just ended so sourly all of a sudden. I was like, oh, okay. And if I was thinking about any romance happening, I know it sounds weird because of the age gap, but I honestly thought it might have been just a little bit, maybe a little kiss or something between Milo and Amber, because the amount of, like, I don't know, the more communication they were having, and because of the little scene where they were talking about flirting and stuff. And I don't know, I thought maybe after he'd healed from getting dragged around by a motorbike, they might have a little peck, or because of Amber was really emotional, but maybe that's more of like a fatherly love. I don't know, I thought maybe that would spark more than just this random girl that's just jumped into the story, even though it's not like that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think there'd be a relationship there. I was so shocked, but I loved it. That sounds weird, not in a weird way. So when Amber was having her first proper, I guess, battle with the Nightmare Man, she was trying to take Jesper, wasn't she, the mayor? That was different. I actually found, when I was reading it, that my mind felt a little bit dreamy and murky. Now, there's two possible reasons for this. One, I'm not sure if it was written well, and so I kind of maybe got bored and my vision clouded and I just wasn't really absorbing exactly everything that was going on, which kind of left a disconnection from the story. Or two, it was written that well that I was actually feeling what Amber was like feeling maybe, and I don't know, so I'm kind of undecided about that. So I'm not sure if that was a good feeling or not. So yeah, when they were up against like everything near the end, and Amber came up with that plan, basically to get Jesper to be eaten by the, I can't remember his name, but the demon that was kept, you know, in the cell or whatever, and then kind of weaken the barriers for the hounds to come in, get ripped up by the people in their new demon forms and stuff, and then that's the problem sorted, and also stop the ritual and stuff like that. I thought that was such an excellent plan, and I was really shocked at how well thought out it was, because initially I just wasn't sure how they were going to end all of their problems like at once. I was absolutely flabbergasted. I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know what was going to happen, how things would be resolved. So when it all went wrong, I honestly felt so gutted. It was so painful to watch everything just fall and just the plan fall through, and yeah, that was depressing to read. And then obviously things had to change and a new plan kind of was formed, but without telling the others, because Virgil and his suicide mission, oh my god, I mean, come on, he wanted to be a hero from the start. He's the one that obviously started kind of investigating the Narrow Man and Oscar Marino, and why he had his former actor friend's face and everything, and he wanted to be the end. He wanted to go out with a bang. He didn't think he was ever going to get in contact with his daughter, which then contacted at the very end. Oh, come on, bit cliche, but that's heartbreaking. Anyway, he wanted to kind of prove himself. He wanted to be the hero that he's always acted, you know, and it worked. But that was quite emotional. There was so much emotion from so many different aspects, and I feel like it could have been done a different way. Like, he didn't have to die, but I think think he wanted to, didn't he, really? So lastly, I just want to talk about that final deal at the, like, pretty much near the end of the book, where Amber had to make the deal to become the Shining Demon's new representative in order to take Milo back and to kind of guarantee her not having to physically be suffered for thousands of years. Whoa, I thought he was going to have a trick when she came up to start, like, feasting on his arm. I thought it was going to be like poison to her system and kill her instantly, or I don't know, I just thought that Astaroth was going to come up with something to trick her, or, you know, just cause her more torment than ever, but it wasn't, and she actually went through with it, and that was shocking. Honestly, I'm really concerned now they're back safe in Earth, or in Desolation Hill. I'm concerned at where this is going to take her. I know obviously she wants to go hunting her parents, but the relationships that she had made with, like, Virgil and Javier and Kelly and Ronnie and Warwick and Linda and Tu and Austin, you know, those relationships, what is going to happen to them? Like, they're pretty much enemies now, if you think about it, because Amber is working for the demon, you know, and the other guys don't want to work with or for the demon. They're trying to stop this. Where's this gonna go, you know? She made such awesome friendships and relationships, and what's gonna happen? I'm absolutely sure that the Shining Demon's actually gonna make her go after her friends just to be cruel. I think he's cruel enough to do something like that. But for now, we're left with her going off to find her parents and decapitate them, and I don't know, maybe do some other stuff on the side. So I really can't wait for the third book. Please let me know what you're thinking of this series so far, if you're enjoying it as much as I am. If you're not, let me know why, perhaps, what it could do to change your mind on it, perhaps. I'm really enjoying this. I am loving this series so far. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of chatty discussion review. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll speak to you next time.